were a new agent, what did you do to generate business and build up from there?
Lead gen. Literally as much as I could.
Like what kind of agent?
So I got my license in 2007, so 2008 was pretty dismal, so I did a lot of like on the market, right? There was tons of expireds, and I would call expireds all day long, to be honest. And what I ended up doing is I didn't call the ones that expired first time, I would look if they expired 2 or 3 times, right? Because everyone was living back in 2006 and 2007 at these homes, and they're probably like 50, 60,000 overpriced when the agent took them. And then the next agent would take it and wouldn't reduce the price. And then I would come in and go, listen, you need to have a 20% reduction to sell this house. And I would come in and just say that. Because I want the guarantee of the sale. So I would go in there and actually swing the weight the best I could, right? Fastball down the center. And every time I got those listings, I actually sold them pretty quickly. Because they reduced it 20%. It was actually reasonable where it should be with the market, and it was sold. So I lead in a lot. And then I learned a lot about like my SOI or COI, right? Just the people I knew. I just started actually following up with them as much as I could. And I was so uncomfortable doing it. Asking somebody like my brother, hey, I know you're buying a house, you want to help me buy it? Which I didn't help him. Helping close family is tough. But I learned how to actually approach people that I knew for business. And I had buddies going, I went to 5 open houses and he didn't want to listen to me, so I mailed my card. I'm in this business. I had a friend who sold their house, asked my advice, and bought another house without me. 10 years later, I stayed in front of her enough. I helped her sell her house and buy a house. It was $2 million worth of transactions. But at first, I was so new into it, they didn't believe that I was actually doing this for my career. So I just constantly focused on following up with people a lot, right? And correctly. So I did a monthly newsletter, right? I would try to do quarterly calls. We did mailers. That's basically what we were doing back then. And then we consistently do that to this day. So like, I got a text this weekend. I'm ready to sell my house in Ridley Park. Cool, because I stayed in front of these people for years. So
You said you attacked the expired list, right? I'm assuming you use the MLS to find out what's expiring at the end of each month. But then as far as contacting them, did you do a mail out? And how, if you called them, how were you able to get their phone number? What system did you use to find them?
so there was companies like RedX back then. It was basically Mojo. They had their own expireds, and there was other companies back then that would provide the cell phone numbers or other numbers to call. So I would get on a dialer and let Mojo just rip through. I mean, there was, when I say hundreds a month, there's hundreds, if not 500-600 expireds a month in the 5 counties around Philadelphia. I mean, that's how many. There was just constant expireds, and you just sat there and blew through them and tried to connect them, and then start the conversations, right? And I learned my scripts then too. So like I got into coaching, it was Mike Ferry coaching, and we worked on an expired script every day. And it's really just asking the right questions and getting to talk. And then I changed it to make myself feel comfortable, because I would load it up saying, I know you get inundated with phone calls from realtors because they were just blowing them up. And if they said no, I did not, I go, you don't know your house expired? And they'd be like, they'd be exploding. I'm like, well, that's the reason why you shouldn't be talking to that person again. I would actually communicate that your house is expired and try to sell the house. Right? If they said, I am talking to my realtor again, I'm like, why would you talk to the person that I can tell you truthfully to sell their house? And I would just work on those scripts when I was in that conversation to actually let them actually meet with me. And I did all 5 counties, 24/7.